Hey, Access Atlanta. We are here with the beautiful, the talented, just look at her. Crystal Renee Hayslett, everyone. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
It's so good to see you. I'm doing well. You're looking pretty in pink.
We got the memo.
We got the memo, okay? But first off, just congratulations on everything. She has so much going on. This year alone, you've got Sisters, Zatima, Will Packer's newest movie, his latest production, Praise This. You have so much going on. How are you handling everything? How are you?
Thank you for asking that, because a lot of people don't ask how are you.
Yeah.
I'm really well. I'm
That's
good.
good.
I'm enjoying everything. I'm in a very grateful space right now. I'm trying to stay present because life is just going so fast.
Yes.
The days are going by fast, so trying to take time to just really settle in the moment and see what's happening.
Yeah, and it's important to do that because a lot of the times we are moving so fast that you don't even realize like how many accomplishments you're racking up and all the things that are coming your way that you're just like, whew, I got to take a second for this. So I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yes.
But of course we have to go back a bit because this is not an overnight success. This is not something that just happened out the blue. You have been putting in work.
The work.
For years now. And I want to kind of go back to that journey of just like how this all started. Did little Crystal always feel like she wanted to be an actress? Was acting always in the mix?
It was. Crystal always knew. Little Crystal knew she wanted to be a singer. She knew she wanted to be an actor. And that seed that was planted in me at a very young age stayed there. And it was always something that was like, you could feel it kind of nugging at my spirit. I was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. And you have to listen to that.
You do. You do.
A lot of the times it's like you hear it and it's like,
Yep. And I did that for years. It wasn't until I was like 26 that I decided to move to Atlanta. I was living in D.C. I'm from Tennessee originally.
Okay.
Moved to D.C. to work on Capitol Hill right after college. And
wait, we can't skip past that. We were working on Capitol Hill.
yes, yeah.
What was that like?
You know, it was amazing. I interned for Senator Alexander, who was my senator from Tennessee. And I had won an internship. 3 out of 3 students out of the entire state. I was one of the 3 chosen to spend a semester on Capitol Hill working in the office. And I got called back for a job. So I guess I did something right.
Listen, that's a lesson. Those internships are important.
They are
'cause
important.
You never know who you might meet during that time. And if you work hard, look.
Yeah, that's right. That is so right.
So when did that switch happen of like, okay, I'm going to move to Atlanta. I'm going to take this serious. What was that moment that you really decided, I'm going for it?
I remember Senator Alexander always took us on a staff retreat. Okay. And if you don't know, he's from Nashville. He plays the piano. He sings. He has a great love for music. And one day he was playing the piano at his house and everybody was like, you know, Crystal can sing. And he was like, come here, sing with me. He's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, let's do Amazing Grace. So he starts playing Amazing Grace and I started singing and he's like,
oh, so she sings for real, for real.
And we got back, and he was the type he wouldn't really talk to a lot of like the younger kids that worked there. All of our desks were lined through the hallway, so when he would go to his office, he had to walk past our desk. So then after that, we were buddies. He was like, "Hey, Crystal, what you got going on?" Everybody's looking like he's talking to her. Like, what is that? Like, it was like they're like, "What's happening?
This can't be real.
This can't be real." And one day I was sitting at the desk, and I said, "You know what? What am I doing?" And it was as clear as day. It was like, it wasn't a question about it. I was like, okay, it's time.
Wow.
I'm not living out my dream. I'm not living out my purpose. I have so much more to offer the world. And I talked to him and he said, you have my full blessing. And he was like, go do it. And I went back and saw him and he said, he was coming from the Senate floor. He said, Crystal Hayslett. And he was like, you did it.
Oh,
yeah.
That had to be such a beautiful and proud moment for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love that.
Because he had so many kids that come through there. The fact that he remembered me, I was like, oh.
I'm sure he's watching Zatima somewhere.
Yes.
But okay, so then we get to Atlanta. How does Crystal end up at Tyler Perry Studios and then becoming his personal stylist?
Yeah, it was a rough road to getting there. I moved here in 2009. I didn't start working at the studio until 2012. It was a very rough and rocky road between 2009 to 2012.
Talk about some of those difficulties.
Yeah, I moved here and I'm big on faith, so this is a big leap, y'all. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything lined up. My uncle lives here, him and his wife and daughter. And I said, hey, Unc, I want to move to Atlanta. Do you mind if I stay with you? Just give me a year. Because I wanted to be reasonable and realistic about my expectations. And because you like, just give me a month or two, knowing like, no, it may not happen in that time. And it did not. So
Takes a little time.
It did. And it was right when we were in a recession. That's when like the housing market had crashed. It was a lot going on in 2009. And it took about a year to find a job. Took a year, but I had Q Parker from 112 who believed in me, and we would work out of his studio, out of his house, and he's like, let's just make some music, let's see what we can come up with. And it was people like him, it was people like Ray Daniels, Divine Stevens. Those are people that took me under their wings. Actually, my first job here in Atlanta was with Divine Stevens.
Really?
Yeah, I was working he had an artist development center.
Aww.
And I've always been big on working around what I want to do, which is why I ended up working at Tyler Perry Studios as well. So with Divine, he had a hair salon, a gym, and an artist development center in one space. So I had everything I needed in one space.
Goodness, that is a great space.
Brilliant. I was like, Divine, you're on to something. He's a smart man. But he was the first person to give me a job. And from there, I ended up working at Tyler Perry Studios. My stylist at the time was working there. And she was like, Crystal, you have like a knack for fashion. You just tell me what you want. So why don't you come and work? She's like, try to come work at the studio. She said, it's an entry-level position. You'll have to be a PA and work your way up. And I was like, that's fine. Like, I just want to be around it. Like, I'm good. So I did that, and I was going to get coffee. It was like a complete downgrade from what I was used to. It was very humbling. I was getting coffee, making copies, running clothes to set, the things that people would not want to do. You know, it's not the most glamorous job.
Memories.
Yeah, you know. And I love telling this part of the story because people don't want to put in that type of work to get where they're trying to go, and to even trust the process and trust that like it's not always, you're not going to jump right into it. I did background work. My first feature film that I did background extra work in was Stomp the Yard 2, produced by Will Packer. Now my first movie is with Will Packer. It's crazy, yeah.
The testimony.
The testimony, yeah.
And I think also too, just going back to your point of like the people who were there to kind of take you under their wing. It's so important to have that support system, because these moments can be so dark, and when you want to give up, the people who believe in you, talk about having a support system there to kind of pick you up in those moments.
That was the most depressing time of my life. It was so hard. A lot of second guessing myself. Did I make the right decision by moving here? I left a great job, benefits, healthcare, to come pursue a dream, and now I have nothing. Savings is running out, you know, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. And having those people that saw something in me, they saw, you know, a lot of times we see what's inside of us, and we see, I know I can do this, I know I can. And your parents may be a little skeptical, or your friends like, small town mind. They're like, okay, yeah, that's cute. Okay, girl. But then to have people that actually see what you see in yourself is a game changer. Yeah. And God has always strategically placed different people in my life that believed in my vision.
I say that all the time. Really? We are best friends. No, but seriously, it's like even those moments like where you feel like maybe this is not it, then something happens, or I meet somebody, and then it's just like, you just know.
It's like, a little God wink.
I see you, God, okay.
I call him God winks. He's like, got you.
that is amazing. And, you know, just being able to talk about that journey and leading up to here, like you said, you like telling that part of the story, because I do think it is important for people to hear that. And so you get in, entry level, you're working. Working,
auditioning. I would literally like leave set, run upstairs, change clothes, go put an audition on tape, run back upstairs, eat a little food, and then go back to work. And had auditioned for 2 Tyler Perry parts, and didn't get them. And then when he offered me the job to be a costume designer and his stylist, I was like, he doesn't think I can act. This is way being like, this ain't it, baby girl.
This is being nice.
But I got something else for you. You're going to be all right. But this ain't it.
This is not the one.
This is not the one. And 5 years later, I find out that he never even saw them.
He didn't even know.
He had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then now it's time for Sisters.
It's time for Sisters.
And I'm just so glad, like, you know, seeing that show and then seeing your role just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, she is doing it. So when you are on Sisters and, you know, you're acting with these other ladies, was there a point in time, obviously once Zach got in the picture, that you kind of felt like, I think we are going to get our spinoff? Was there a moment?
I remember like it was yesterday. We were sitting in Fatima's room on set, And DeVal and I, we were sitting on the bed going over lines because my nickname is Crystal Renee Run It Hayslett. Because I'm always like, you want to run lines? You want to run it? You want to run it? He's like, gosh.
Again?
I'm like, I'm big on repetition. So we were on the bed running lines, and Tyler walks in the room, and he just looks at both of us, and he goes, I like this, and walks away. And we were like, I looked at DeVal, and DeVal goes, we're going to get our own show. He's like, I see it, I feel it. And I was like, for real? He was like, just watch. And within like a year later, there was little whispers on set. The crew was like, Zatima's coming. It's on the production calendar. We were like, wait, what?
And you didn't even know about it yet.
I didn't. Well, Tyler had made a comics. I had auditioned. A lot of people don't know this, but I auditioned for Madam on All the Queen's Men. Yeah,
that's the role Eva was
on.
Yeah. Okay.
I was already on Sisters, but Kim Coleman called and was like, "I want you to read for this role," and I said, "Okay, great." So I did it, and the president of the studio at that time went to Tyler and was like, "Yeah, Crystal killed this audition for Madam." He said, "Whoa. He's I got big plans for Crystal. Y'all can't touch her.
She won't have time for all that.
She's not gonna have time because I'm about to do something for her." And he was like, I'm gonna give her own show. And like Tyler's a great friend of mine. So when he said it, I was like, oh, like not, you know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't want to be like, he's really about to do it, but I should have known that he was gonna do it because it's Tyler Perry. He doesn't just say things, and he can make anything happen.
Right.
But it is his world. But when that happened, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And I look at how and he called me one day. He's like, what are you doing to these people? He's like, Fatima's trending every week on Twitter.
All the time.
And he's like, by herself, like, aside of Sisters, it's Fatima. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I mean, it's you've written a character that's very relatable. Mm-hmm. I'm just a vessel, you know, and I'm glad I'm not letting you down or the fans. But to see how they took on to Crystal and Fatima was just incredible.
Now we have to talk about Fatima because everyone needs a Fatima. Fatima does not play.
She does not.
And where's your purse? We got to make sure that's not closed.
I left it over there. Right, it's a little one. I brought a little one today.
We know what's in the purse. How similar though is Fatima to Crystal?
Very similar, but Crystal does not carry guns. You know, I have other people to do that. So don't try to pull up on me because, got somebody to take
she don't play.
She don't play. I have other people that don't play about Crystal. Fatima, on the other hand, she doesn't play about anybody.
At all.
Anybody she loves. And Crystal's the same way. I don't play about the people I care about. I love very hard, just as Fatima does. I keep it real. You know, I'm the friend that's going to tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. I'm going to make you look at yourself in the mirror when it's hard to, but in a graceful way, not in a judgmental way. And I feel like that's some things that Fatima and Crystal have in common.
Now, we got to talk about Fatima's friends. We got Angela, who Angela sometimes makes a little questionable choices.
Everybody be like, what is up with Angela?
And then we have the ex-friend Belinda, who's out the picture because of her questionable. We might need to get Fatima some new friends.
Listen.
Because what is really going on with these ladies?
Right.
But I do want to ask you some questions kind of based off scenarios that these ladies have put you in.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so Angela, you know, she basically had sent Fatima a picture, a compromising position picture of Zach, which is Fatima's man on the show, fiance, let's get that right, with his ex Karen.
Yeah.
So in real life, would you want somebody to send you a picture of your significant other out with somebody else or their ex?
Yeah, I probably would want to know that.
Me too.
Yeah, I would want to know. Send me that. Call me and send that ASAP.
Because I might show up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pull up on you. Yeah. So we having dinner? What we doing?
Yeah. Oh, this is cute.
Oh, that's real cute. Okay. What we eating?
Now, Belinda, she claims she was, I guess, trying to help Fatima out by trying to sleep with Zach. And making sure that he was right and ready for you.
Yeah.
It was for you.
It was for me. That's what they do.
Could you deal with somebody who, I guess, tried to do that? Would you still be friends with somebody that tried to do that? And on the other side, on Zach's side, could you deal with somebody in a relationship-wise that had a previous history with one of your friends?
Okay, so no, I couldn't deal with my girl who came on to my man.
Yeah, she got to go.
She got to go. But for me, I feel like everybody's not for everybody. And if that was in your past, that's your past. You know, it's like I try not to judge people based off of their decisions and choices they made before me. I look at how you are from the time we start talking and you have to prove me. I'm giving you a 100 score.
Yeah.
You're already at 100. It's on you to make it go down. But I feel like I've seen people where like they were just not compatible, but then somebody else is like, no, y'all are meant. And I think that's where maturity comes in, where it's like, no, like y'all are really meant for each other. Like, go, you have my blessing, and I wish the best for you guys, because we don't own anybody. I think a lot of times we've become territorial when it comes to relationships and exes. And I can see we were married and you went in like, you were my friend and you went and like started dating my ex-husband, but like, I feel like boyfriends, girlfriends, we're trying to get to know and figure out if this is who we want to be with.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be canceled, you know what I'm saying, because, oh, that's my friend, you can't talk to her. Oh, girl, good luck.
Go ahead and do what y'all want to do.
Good luck. Hopefully it works out.
Now, Angela is still friends with Belinda, even though knowing what Belinda did to you and trying to ruin your relationship. Yeah. In real life, could you stay friends with somebody who is also friends with somebody who did that to you?
No, you got to pick a side.
Yes.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Yeah. But so okay, I'm glad I feel like we're on the same page with a lot of those questions. But I do want to talk about, because Zach made a good point this season where he was pretty much talking about that Fatima only wants to talk about issues when it deals with him right on site. But when it deals with her, it's like, I need some time to process. I got to figure this out. Can Fatima be a little bit more compromising in that kind of?
Absolutely, she could be, for sure. And I think that's Tyler's take on a lot of women, because we are like that. We'll say one thing, we'll like, no, I want to talk about it now. When it's something we want to talk about, but then when they want to talk about it, it's like, man, she need time to process it. Like, I don't, and we do that.
Calling us out.
We do that. He called us out. You called us out, T. It's okay, but it's real, you know, which is why people are like, yep, that's exactly how we are.
And I also love, too, the dynamic that you and DeVal have formed, obviously, as Zach and Fatima on camera, but off camera. The friendship, even with his wife, Kadeen, it seems like you all are like such family. You're even the godmother to one of their sons, right?
To the baby boy, to Dakota.
I love that. How do you think you all just became so close?
You know what? It actually really started when DeVal and I had our first kissing scene.
Okay.
And I was so nervous to kiss him, because I'm like, I couldn't unsee DeVal, the married man whose wife I adore, and I'm just like,
I can't kiss you.
I can't do this. And like, this is my first kissing scene on camera, so I was super nervous. Our intimacy coordinator was like, okay, so you know you guys need to practice, like, so that you're more comfortable. And I was like, practice what?
Like, actually.
You want me to actually kiss him in real life? Okay, we not faking this?
Nope.
No. So like, I went up, like, they were like, she's like, okay, kiss. And I was like,
and it's all on camera.
It's like, well, this is when our like private rehearsal, and it was so funny. DeVal was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, it's just too much. And he calls Kadeen, and he's like, will you please tell this girl that she can kiss me? She said, girl, you better kiss that man. She said, we need this check to clear.
I love that.
And then I was like, okay, this is my job, and I had to just let go of the of DeVal and put Zach in that place. This is my man in this moment, you know, like this is Fatima's man, not Kadeen's husband. Right. So I had to separate the two. And even with my characters, I have to do the same thing, because I'll start judging the character. I'm like, no, this is the character. This isn't you. Stop judging it. Yeah, so I had to take myself out of it. But yeah, even from then on, and Kadeen has talked about it on their podcast, I always put her feelings first. I always wonder, okay, how does this look? How does Kadeen feel about this? My DeVal, is Kadeen okay with this? Even with our personal friendship, because me and Dee talk every day, but like I always acknowledge her. I make sure that she never feels like, who is this woman just always talking to my husband? Because he's like one of my close friends that I talk to about everything, but now I talk to both of them about everything. Like, I was like, y'all look, what you think about this? And me and Kadeen hang out separately outside of him, and then me and DeVal have our time as friends to hang out, and I'm with the family. Like, it's all love.
I love that.
I'm so blessed to have both of them. Seriously,
And you can tell. I mean, just even through the IG screen, you can tell. Like, it's real love there.
And people, like, some people, I think a lot of people put their insecurities, whatever they have going on, into our thing. Like, like, if you were able to just really come in here and see like this is real, like you can actually be friends. And Devala says, I wish every married guy had a crystal like as a friend who can give you that perspective sometimes that your wife may not be able to give you. Be like, hey, like, did you ever think about it like this? So I always have Kadeem's side.
We got to.
I always got my girl's side. And he's like, I didn't even think about it like that. I'm like, yeah.
That's good.
Because they've been together for so long. So like when you're hearing like, you know,
you hear from somebody else, it makes
it's like,
different.
oh, it does hit different. So but people they don't get it.
No, and I mean they don't need to.
They don't.
It's fine.
Yep, it's so true.
So of course now we got to talk about Praise This, the new movie. Will Packer, like I said, production. He's got Chloe Bailey in it, Quavo in it, Drewski. I mean, it's a whole lot of people in it, including you, where you play this like unconventional first lady.
Oh yes, she's my kind of first lady.
So I got to talk to Chloe on the red carpet about it and just ask her about like the importance of the movie. And she's like, you know, it's kind of like this generation's Fighting Temptation or Sister Act 2.
That's exactly what I say. Oh my gosh.
So tell me about, I guess, just how important this movie is for the culture and also your role playing this first lady.
Yes, you know, first of all, it's a mashup between Pitch Perfect, Sister Acts, and Fighting Temptations. And I feel like we are living in such a crazy, chaotic time. The world is getting further and further away from the church, or further away from God. And I feel like a lot of people are drawing closer to God because they're like, something is going on. Like, we are literally living in the last days.
You see that all the time.
We see it all. My grandmas and moms were saying that we were kids. Yeah. We're like, okay. But now as we're adults, we're like, oh.
We might be living in our last days.
Get your house in order.
Where's the broom?
Listen, sleep around your own front door. But I think that this is a way to bring people closer, you know, and I feel like I'm big on, I feel like all religion is made to just with one common goal, and that's to treat people right. Like if you think about it, most religions, their number one thing is it's a way to give people like guidelines and discipline, but the main thing is to treat people right and be kind to one another. So I feel like that's going to just bring people closer, bring families closer. People are going to laugh when they watch this movie. I feel like people are going to be like, I need to get back in church, or I need to fix my relationship with God. And we do it. The thing I love about Natalie is that she is, she ain't been saved all her life.
No.
You know, me neither. Okay, so like it's like that edge, like, okay, you push me, I might flip back over to this side, and then I'm gonna come pray for you. Okay?
Exactly.
So Natalie, I love that she has the balance where she can be relatable to the Chloes or the Sams of the world, young kids who are seeking that relationship, but don't want to feel judged or criticized, which is something that the church is often guilty of. So even putting a new type of feel on what church should feel like, where our church, the oil factor is like, come as you are.
Yeah.
You walk, they're like, this is your church? We're like, yeah, come on. Like, we up in here praising the Lord. We got skateboards. We got the club.
I was going to say, the ones that were falling asleep in the pew.
Straight out the club, wristbands and stamps still on their hands. We welcome everybody. And that's what the church is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I love that we get, Mac and our church, I love that our church represents that.
Yeah. And I also love, too, that you guys really show the dynamic of both sides of really kind of that church that is like judgmental and is all about we got to win, stuff like that. Yeah. And then the other side where people feel open and welcome enough to come, too, because I think that's a big conversation, especially in the Black community, too, of people not feeling that protection or that comfort going into church.
Yes, absolutely.
So I definitely think that was important to show. And you also got to show your singing chops in the movie. How did that feel?
It felt amazing. You know, Shayla Cowan, who is an executive producer and has worked with Will for years, she knew that I can sing, and Tina Gordon, the director, knew that I could sing. And they were like, Natalie is Crystal. Like, this is her role. And I was like, wow. The fact that they both spoke my name in rooms that I wasn't in and fought for me to be in that. Yeah, they were like, no. They're like, we need you to put it on tape, but this is your role. Yeah. Just put it on tape, and we're going to show them that why you are Natalie. And I was like, wow. Just to have women, you know, because
that's important.
Sometimes, yes, Black women that are speaking your name and that have your back and champion you. And I champion both of them. They are two phenomenal women, and I'm forever grateful, for sure.
Are we going to see more movie roles like this, or what are we going to see kind of coming up for Crystal?
Yeah, I'm constantly auditioning. It's a constant grind. People look and think, oh, she's on 2 shows, she got a movie out. The grind does not stop. Like, my agent sends auditions, sometimes 2 or 3 in a week. Sometimes I might get 1. I could be traveling. I have to carry my tripod and camera and lights and everything with me because I just never know when I'm going to get an audition. And so constantly staying ready for that. I would love to do more movies. I want to direct and produce more.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, because I have other things. I actually just watched Creed 3 last night. And I was just watching the camera. I was just so proud of Michael B. Jordan and what he did with the camera work. And I was like, I can't wait to get behind the camera, just because I was literally up in bed like, yes!
It was incredible, though.
Incredible. So I want to do more of that. I want to do like musicals, Disney musicals. I would love.
I could see that. Oh, I could see you. I could see you as like a fairy godmother. Yeah. Maybe it's the pink and the puff.
It's giving a little Tinkerbell.
I could definitely see that for you. That is awesome.
Do that. Yeah.
What's maybe something fans don't know about Crystal? Like, if you weren't in the entertainment industry, what do you think you would be doing?
If I wasn't in the entertainment industry, I would have to do something creative.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't doing anything creative. And that's why styling Tyler for all those years and not auditioning and not pursuing acting, I was okay because I was being able to be creative. I got to travel the world. I probably would be like a traveler, just like travel everywhere.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a job now. Like years ago it wasn't, but now people are getting paid for that.
They are, yeah. So I would do that if I wasn't doing acting and music and stuff.
And so, are we going to see you more in that beauty space too? I know you just partnered with Clinique back in Black History Month.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that collaboration and how much more we're going to see you in that space.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I always tell this story. In January, my pastor, Dr. Darius Daniels of Change Church.
Me too! Wow! What's up,
girls? I'll see you on Sunday.
Yes! Oh my God, I love...
Baby.
The way that man
breaks it down. I was like, I've been going to church all my life, and I'm just now hearing this for the first time.
It's a different kind of way he flips
it. And it's like, aha. It's like an aha moment every Sunday. Yeah.
Yes, I see you in church. Okay, go ahead.
I love it. But remember when he talked about in the top of the year about writing things down, journaling, and how you start your mornings with God. So I went home that day. I ended my evening with journaling. And I said, God, I do my prayers in journal, like, dear God. It's like a dear diary, like, dear God.
We need the Moesha music playing in the background.
Literally. I wrote when it got to the things I specifically wanted, I said, I want a brand partnership with a big beauty brand. And within 24 hours, I get a call saying, hey, Estee Lauder and Clinique wants to do a partnership with you for Black History Month. I was in the shower literally like crying. Stop. I was like, God, you better stop playing with me. Stop it.
Wow.
And
write it and make it plain.
Make it plain, literally. And like that's my testimony to people. Like, guys, you have to like write it down. You have to speak it. Like nothing is too small or too big for God, like literally. So I did that, and Clinique was the first beauty brand that I used when I got 2 little pimples in junior high school. And my mom said, we're taking you to the clean counter, you get on 3-step program because I want your skin to be nice. And I was like, okay. So years later, that was in junior high, so years later to get that was a full circle moment. And they loved the fact that that was my first skincare
another
routine.
God wink, like you
it
talked
was another
about.
one, yes.
That is,
my life is full of them. No.
You have a lot of those.
It is like you talked about earlier, like when God places certain people in your life and times where you're feeling like, am I making the right decisions? I literally, at one point in my life, I was like, God, I know you're not placing all these amazing people in my life for me to be mediocre. And I was like, I was supposed to learn something from everybody. And I tell my friends that like a lot of them like look at me and are like, well, you're so far ahead. And like, I'm like, this is my journey. I started a long time ago, but you should you're in the vicinity. You know, if you're around
he's
me.
in the neighborhood.
Hello. Honey, he can come knock on your door tomorrow.
You gotta be ready.
Are you ready? Don't be watching what I got going on. I need you to be getting ready because
Yes.
you're right here. So,
That's so true.
And that's how I looked at it. I was right there. It's like I'm in the neighborhood of everybody who's doing something, and I was learning. I was pulling things. I was like, okay, what can I take from this? What's the takeaway? And learning and not taking advantage, because some people are like opportunists. Like, you just have to be very grateful for the space that you're in and look around and be like, okay, what am I here for?
Yeah.
And then it'll come to you. You're like, that's what it was.
That was the lesson I was supposed to learn.
Yes. You won't. Sometimes you won't know when it's happening. It may be years later. You're like, like relationships. You're like,
Girl,
what was that for?
relationships.
And then you'll come back. And you're like, that's why I had to go through that.
But did I really have to
But
go?
God, can we not have skipped that part? Did I really have to go through all this? Yes, you did, because you're hard-headed.
You gotta learn these things a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me about living in Atlanta, because obviously, of course, like we talked about, you're not from Atlanta. What makes Atlanta special to you?
Baby, Black excellence. Okay, the reason why I moved here, I saw all my friends down here thriving. And I was like, if they can do it, I know I can do it. And I look around, it's so funny, we're from a really small town, predominantly white. And the first time my dad came down here, he said, "Ooh, it sure is a lot of y'all down here." And my dad is Black, by the way.
Right, because that would be the clip.
Yeah, there was a lot of y'all. And he was like, but now he loves it. Like, it took him, it was a culture shock for him. He was like, it is a lot of Black people here. I was like, I love it. He's like, you do? He's like, I'm ready to get back to Martin, Tennessee. Where I can leave my doors unlocked.
We're done. But it is though, especially for people who are not used to it. It's a
shock.
big adjustment.
Yeah, now he's like, he wants to move to Atlanta. I'm like, oh, now you like
now
Atlanta.
he wants to move with us people.
Yeah. When I was struggling, he was like, oh no.
He said you could put him in the penthouse
You know
now.
what I'm saying? Yeah, Daddy's good now. So.
Well, I could sit here and talk to you all day. It's
Me
been
too.
such a pleasure talking with
Yes.
you and to hear your testimony just about everything and just still see how humble you are and how amazing you're doing. I know, like, the sky is not even the limit. So I just definitely want to make sure you know, like, you're inspiring so many people with your acting, with being who you are, with the fashion. She has Instagram pages dedicated to her fashion.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just so glad. I was talking earlier. I'm like, I'm glad because now I can go and find out what is this.
Yeah, no,
And
they are on it. I'm telling you.
the fans are everywhere.
They are everywhere and they don't miss anything. I had to tell my friends, y'all got to chill on posting, like, when we're out, because, like, as soon as it hits, they've already made, like, a whole reel off of it, like, within, like, 30 seconds. I'm like, how did this get... Like, my story, like, you know how, like, people post stuff and you can see, like, all the stories they posted? And I'm like, immediately, like, it's already up. I'm like... Share. Yeah.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
You are an amazing actress. And I do want to end by asking, what's the most valuable lesson or piece of advice that Tyler Perry has given you so far?
Great question. The most valuable thing, it was the end of season 2. We were in quarantine. And maybe it's season 2 or season 3. And we had just wrapped for the day. And he sent me a text. He said, Crystal, he was like, I know where you're going, but I don't ever want you to forget where you came from. And he said, remember what it was like putting my shoes on, remember what it was like working behind the scenes, because a lot of times actors, they don't work behind the scenes and they don't understand, like, all that goes into making a production happen. And he said, as you continue to go, don't forget where you came from. Always keep that humble spirit, that spirit of gratitude. And he was like, and you're gonna be okay. So, yeah, that was the biggest thing. And I was like, I appreciate that, T. Tyler.
Casually.
You know, T, that's my dog. T, he has a way of pushing you to, like, lift you up, but also, like, keeping you grounded, but in a way that, like, a good friend way, like, because he wants to see you win, but he knows that can be your demise if you're not careful.
100%,
you know, so,
especially in the industry, like,
yes.
Yeah.
And, like, all this fame and money and everything coming at you at once, like, if you're not ready for that, it can take you down a path that you're not ready for.
100%.
And you'll be looking back like, wait, how did we get here?
I was just doing so well.
So well, yeah, humble. Sit down. Real quick. But God, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Crystal, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I know the whole Access Atlanta family wishes you nothing but the best. And we'll be watching. That's all I'll say. We'll be watching.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Access Atlanta. Yes. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.